key lesson that I've taken away from my time as chairman of Essendon is that governance is critical. The problems that I and others have been working so hard to overcome, that all blew up 4 or 5 years ago, ultimately came from a failure of governance. So for anybody who's in a position of responsibility within an organisation, don't think you can cut corners on governance, because you will be exposing your organisation and you personally to potentially devastating risk if you do. There's a fairly significant number of lessons to be learned from there. First, that structure, lines of accountability, clear definitions of responsibility are crucial. So one of the key themes that you can see from the Switkowski report, which the club had done early on, is that part of the reason these problems occurred was there was a bit of a no one's in charge sort of problem. The second lesson, and I've learned this in other areas as well, is that whenever you have an organisation where in reality the CEO is not the most powerful and important person in the room, and you get this, for example, in the Defence Department, police forces, where you might have a secretary of a department, but in truth, typically the real power lies with the person with the uniform, then you have additional governance challenges. Now, Defence and people like me in one of my current roles spend a lot of time grappling with how to deal with these kind of challenges, but it's something I think that Essendon failed to fully comprehend and understand. I suspect most other football clubs at that time probably were in the same boat, not realising that you've really got two alternative centres of power in a club, and football departments almost functioning as autonomous, separate little worlds. So getting a much better operating process, lines of accountability, understandings about who's responsible for what is a critical lesson. Third, and it's very obvious, but it's always good to restate, is that anything that matters needs to be documented. So one of the critical failings was lack of appropriate documentation of everything that had occurred. So it is very obvious, and we had a guy in there who clearly was behaving inappropriately, but it just should be an instinctive response from any organisation whenever it is making decisions, implementing decisions, doing potentially risky things, that it needs to ensure there is a document trail, that things are recorded.